So one of the misconceptions that show up in the juvenile detention center when you start to define what it means to be a kid in that space is that these kids are monsters, that they are predators, that they have these superpowers and they're coming in and swooping in and they're destroying communities and wreaking havoc on people and all of that stuff. But in actuality, these are kids that just at some point are just struggling to understand what it even means to be a teenager in the 21st century. Typically, if you're raising teenagers or kiddos, you're going to come in contact with a kiddo who has some type of challenges associated with their behavior. The issue might be is that if you live in a community where there's resources, right, you may not need to call the police. Or you may have a police officer that is a part of your family. So they may give you certain things that people you can contact, so it's that network where other folks may not have that network. So I'm encouraging people to go to where these kiddos are and go to see them. We have a detention center here in Grand Rapids. You can sign up to donate. You can, reach out to the detention center to see if there are kids that need to be involved in some mentorship. You can even contact the Delta Project and say, hey, I want to kind of figure out how can I be a part of what you guys are doing? How do we support kids? What we don't want people to continue to do is hold on to those false narratives that aren't real. And the only reason why they are real is because you haven't had a real touch point with kids who are in the system. The harder parts of really doing this work is really around some of that self-assessment. Some of that stuff that requires us to look directly in the mirror and really answer some of those things that have frightened us, some of those things that have made us feel very extremely and uncomfortable around how we actually see people, how we interact with people. Our biases, our perceptions, our stereotypes all kind of surface and show up, especially when we're talking about kids in the juvenile justice system. Once you touch the system in a way that requires you to actually interact with a kid, you'd be surprised what you see. A lot of them are really just big kids who need a lot of support. These are kids who have had some trauma. These are kiddos that struggle with their mental health. These are kiddos who just made a poor choice, and ultimately that poor choice led to juvenile delinquent behavior that led to them finding their way into the juvenile detention center on probation. These are kids that may not have structure at home in some way or capacity. These are kiddos that may not have really solid, strong relationships. So it really is about doing the internal work. And I think that part of this has helped me because it matters. And I think the hard part is convincing other people why it should matter to them, and I think that is why this work is so important, because it really is about understanding that when I look across the room and I see a young man, I actually see an uncle, I see a brother, I see someone that I might work with, someone that my children might interact with. I see another person who's trying to figure it out, and that I might have the skills and some resources to help. But I think part of this is really seeing myself in the young people that I serve. And I think that's what has to happen. We have to see ourselves in them, and that matters.